I am starting this video with quite a bit of anxiety, so that is always a not so great start. This is something new to CXC Beauty. It is their Out of Look eyeshadow palette. I have to say a massive thank you to Makeup on Your Radar for the information on this. Let's discuss. So as I said, this is the Out of Look eyeshadow palette and it's retailing now for €55.95. Now, I have to say a massive kudos to the brand for being really upfront about this, because when you go over to their website, they say, disclaimer, this is a combination of X-ray and gamma ray monochromatic palettes. There are no new shades. So they're not trying to dupe you or think that like, oh, we're going to try and get you to buy something new and unnecessary. I do really appreciate this. Where I'm getting the slight bit of anxiety is, no, let me talk about the palette. I love the colour story. I actually think it's so beautiful. I love those mixtures of like grey and green. It's so beautiful, so murky. The bit that I have the anxiety about is that they have selected to go with AI art. Now, that's quite a contentious decision to go with because obviously it's kind of taking a job away from somebody. However, I also see the perspective of small indie brands in that sense of they may not have the budget for that. But I think often if you don't have the budget for it, then just go with very plain packaging. Like, we don't really mind too much. We prefer plain packaging than, you know, not give somebody a job over these things. So they've kind of gotten a lot of negative feedback over on Makeup on Your Radar for that, which is understandable. Like, I get that. Thankfully, it doesn't seem that anybody has been very rude about that, but I am super like anxious about talking about that because I know it's like one of those things that just gets people like super wild, like riled up. But now that we have that out of the way, let's look at the actual swatches. I do think this is so pretty. I love the color story of this. You know me, I love greens, I love grays, I love this sort of tone. I mean, I'm Irish and the imagery of the shamrocks and the leprechaun is like really weird to me. Also, why is he like a really creepy looking leprechaun? Anyways, let's not talk about that. I'd actually prefer this if it didn't have the cover art because it kind of creeps me out a little bit. But I do think the colour story in and of itself is really pretty. As I said, if you have the X-ray and the gamma ray palettes, don't get this because as they have very clearly highlighted on their website, it is those shades just reproduced in a different palette. So the palette itself, I think, is actually really beautiful. I think the way that they have coordinated it and put the two palettes together makes an awful lot of sense. I think it's absolutely stunning. It's the cover that gets me. I cannot deal with that leprechaun. It freaks me out. Do not like it at all. I think that the kind of constructive criticism around the use of AI in artwork is actually a very good point. Now, AI is not going to go anywhere. It's here to say whether you like it or not. And it can be really useful. But I think when you're looking at a space that is marked by creativity and artistry, as the beauty space is, once you start farming that out to AI, even if it's just in terms of artwork, it's undermining the entire community as a whole. And that's without even thinking about like the human impact of somebody losing out on a job. Like, where will it potentially end? And I think it's very important that brands do outline when they are using AI so that we can make more informed choices on this. I wouldn't be surprised if the brand changes their stance on this. We've seen this happening quite recently where brands have taken in consumer feedback and changed their policies on this. They literally could have just done a black palette with green writing saying Out of Look in an interesting font and left it at that. And I think none of this would have been as like as it needed to be. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, I'm anxious. I'm so frightened about what you guys are going to say because I know these are the sort of things that get people really like riled up. But I just wanted to talk about the makeup itself. It's very pretty. It's very nice. I've never tried anything from CXC Beauty, but I have seen a couple of their things in the past and I've always thought they seemed really interesting. But I am, as always, very interested to know what you guys think.